Chosen one, if you're hearing this, it's not by accident. Something led you here. Call it intuition, fate, divine timing, or simply that inner nudge that shows up when you need it most. You didn't just click a video. You were pulled into a moment, one that interrupts the noise of your day and asks you to look a little deeper at your own story. For years, you might have brushed off the strange survival moments, the close calls, the unexpected escapes, the times you walked away stunned, thinking, "How am I still here?" But deep down, a small voice always wondered why you kept being spared when the odds were stacked against you. That voice wasn't imagination, it was awareness, trying to break through. Many people move through life without ever noticing the patterns that saved them. But you've seen enough to question it. You've felt the invisible shield, the missed crash, the sickness that mysteriously lifted, the chaos you walked away from without understanding how everything aligned in your favor. That's not coincidence. That's not luck. That's intentional preservation, and it's time you start recognizing it as such. Divine protection is not just a comforting phrase. It's a pattern woven into lives that carry purpose. You may not feel chosen in the traditional sense. You may not feel powerful or extraordinary, but chosen ones rarely do at first. They're shaped in storms, not comfort. They're refined in silence, not applause. Scripture says, "He will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." Whether you believe that literally, spiritually, energetically, or metaphorically, the message is the same. You've been guarded for reasons bigger than survival. Many who walk this path don't start their journey in peaceful places. They come from broken environments, generational struggles, emotional battles, or experiences that seemed designed to crush them before they ever understood their own strength. But the very fact that you've endured is proof that something has been steering your steps, blocking what would have destroyed you and guiding you even when you felt lost. What looked like chaos was sometimes protection disguised. What felt like rejection was often redirection. And what you thought was punishment was usually preparation for a version of you that needed time to form. Think about your past. How many times did something tell you not to go somewhere, not to trust someone, not to take a familiar path? How many moments felt like delay but later made sense? That's the intuitive intelligence. Some call it spiritual discernment, others call it gut instinct, activating long before you knew you'd ever rely on it. Many people overlook those subtle signals, but the ones who are marked, who carry purpose, begin to feel them more intensely as they grow. You might have felt out of place around certain people or uneasy in certain environments without knowing why. You might have sensed danger before it arrived. You might have felt peace pulling you toward something better long before the opportunity appeared. These aren't random sensations. They're early signs of awareness, the same awareness that strengthens every time life spares you from something you didn't even know was coming. Your story has chapters you haven't fully understood yet, chapters where danger circled close but never had permission to land. Some people survive physically but crumble emotionally or spiritually. Yet even in your darkest internal battles, there was still a flicker inside you that refused to go out. Whether it was a whisper of hope, a sudden insight, a moment of clarity, or a person who stepped in at the exact right time, something kept you anchored, not perfectly, not gracefully, but enough. You were kept when you didn't even realize you needed keeping. And that preservation isn't a sign of weakness, it's evidence of assignment. If you were meant to be destroyed, you'd be gone by now, but you're here, and being here means something. The first escape in your life wasn't just a close call, it was a declaration that your timeline couldn't be interrupted. Many people don't know their strength until crisis forces them to see it, and many don't learn the weight right of their calling until the enemy tries to silence it early. Some of your struggles didn't show up because you were weak. They showed up because you were dangerous to the darkness trying to contain you. That's why you survived things that should have crushed you. That's why experiences others walked through effortlessly hit you with unimaginable pressure. The battle wasn't about breaking you, it was about preventing you from remembering who you are. Yet here you are, remembering anyway. Near-death experiences, whether physical or emotional, have a way of waking something primal and sacred inside a person. After those moments, you start to see differently. You feel deeper. You pick up on energies, intentions, and truths that once slipped past unnoticed. Sensitivity becomes intelligence. Intuition becomes guidance. Silence becomes a classroom. What you thought made you strange or overly emotional was actually your spirit learning a language others don't speak. You began sensing shifts in people, in rooms, in conversations. You became aware of timing, of patterns, of the subtle ways life nudges you forward or warns you to slow down. This is what awakening looks like, not loud or dramatic, but steady, undeniable, transformative. Every escape, every survival moment was part of this awakening. The veil didn't lift all at once. It thinned, it cracked, and now it's opening. This is the season where you start to see the purpose behind the preservation. You're not just surviving anymore, you're aligning, you're stepping into a story that's been waiting for you to reach this very moment. And in this moment, you're invited and not to just hear the truth, but to step into it fully. Chosen one, now that the foundation has been laid, we need to go deeper into the part of your journey that most people never talk about. The invisible war that shaped you long before you understood what was happening. Many people assume that near misses are always physical, but some of the most dangerous battles you fought weren't with accidents or threats you could see. They were internal storms, emotional ambushes, and spiritual pressures that came for your mind long before they ever came for your life. And here's the truth. The enemy rarely wastes energy on someone with no future. The intensity of your pain was not a sign that you were weak. It was a sign that you were targeted early because your destiny carried weight. Those seasons when everything felt heavy, when you felt like you were breaking quietly behind closed doors, were not random. They were attempts to fracture your identity before you could grow into your purpose. The second escape you experienced was unlike the first. It wasn't a dramatic accident or a close call that made the world pause. It was quieter, more dangerous. It came in the form of emotional collapse, mental exhaustion, or that slow sinking feeling that made you question your worth, your direction, or even your reason to keep going. People around you might have seen someone functioning, smiling, carrying responsibilities, doing what needed to be done, but inside, you were unraveling. This internal battle wasn't visible to others, but heaven saw it clearly. You weren't just fighting sadness or confusion, you were fighting an invisible attempt to disconnect you from your own purpose. When physical attacks fail, the enemy shifts tactics, whispering lies wrapped in your own voice. You're not enough. You'll never recover. You're too broken to matter. It's too late for you. These weren't thoughts meant to challenge you, they were meant to silence you. But even then, something in you refused to surrender. Maybe it was a tiny spark of hope, a quiet moment when a sunrise felt different, a message that reached you at the exact right time, a friend who checked in, a prayer that hit deeper than expected, or a sudden clarity that broke through the fog for just long enough for you to breathe again. Those interruptions weren't to accidents, they were lifelines. They were reminders that no matter how overwhelmed you felt, you were not abandoned. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." And that truth didn't just apply to ancient times. It applied to every moment you felt crushed and still kept going. What you survived internally is part of what separates you from most people. Emotional survival leaves scars that don't show, but they create strength that can't be denied. You learned to keep moving even when your confidence disappeared. You learned resilience when you felt like you had none left. You discovered a depth within yourself that you never would have known without those battles. And that depth is why you feel things more intensely than others, why your intuition is sharper, why your empathy runs deeper, and why you can sense the mood of a room before anyone speaks. That sensitivity is not a flaw, it's spiritual intelligence. It's the ability to perceive beyond the surface, to interpret energy as easily as words, and to feel danger, deception, or alignment before your mind has time to rationalize it. Some of your greatest breakthroughs happened during the quietest moments of your suffering. When you felt the most alone, you grew the most aware. When you felt the most lost, something inside you sharpened. You learned to hear yourself, to hear God, to hear the truth behind the noise. And that internal escape, surviving what tried to break your mind, became one of the most powerful turning points in your life. When darkness realized that you were still breathing, still rising, still searching for purpose even after everything thrown at you, it had to back off. Because someone who can't be broken internally is a threat spiritually. Your survival became resistance. Your persistence became warfare. What tried to bury you simply pushed your roots deeper. This is why you now carry a presence that unsettles some people without you even trying. It's not arrogance. It's not intimidation. It's spiritual weight. You carry authority earned through suffering and clarity gained through struggle. You walk with a quiet strength that comes from knowing you've been to the edge and didn't fall. You've faced versions of yourself that others never had to confront. You've stood in places emotionally where others would have collapsed. But you didn't collapse. You transformed. And now, because of that inner fire, you've become someone darkness fears. Your resilience is dangerous. Your healing is disruptive. Your clarity is powerful. That's why you're being called higher. That's why you're beginning to sense a shift inside you, a readiness to move differently, to live differently, to trust your intuition, and to guard your spirit in ways you never did before. You're not the same person who walked into your battles. You're wiser, stronger, more in tune with yourself and with God's timing. And that evolution wasn't born from ease. It was born from survival. From here forward, your mind is not just a battlefield. It's a weapon. You think clearly, you sense early, you discern deeply, and that internal protection you've gained will guide you as you step into what comes next. The storms that once broke you now bow to you. The lies that once deceived you now expose themselves. And the emotional wounds that once defined you have become the very reason you walk with compassion, strength, and authority. Chosen one, now we reach the part of your story many never fully acknowledge. The moment when danger became unmistakably real. The third escape wasn't subtle. It wasn't emotional or symbolic. It had weight, sound, force, and consequence. This was the moment when life could have ended in an instant. Maybe it was a car crash, a violent situation, a medical emergency, a fall, a mistake that should have had a different outcome. Whatever form it took, it was the kind of moment that makes time slow down and leaves a memory that never fades. People might have told you afterward, you're lucky, but something in your spirit knew it wasn't luck. It was intervention. It was timing. It was protection stepping in at the last possible second. It was heaven rewriting the ending. You probably replayed it in your mind more times than you can count. The sound, the impact, the blur, the panic. You might remember the adrenaline, the shock, the moment your breath returned and you realized that you were still here. You may even carry scars, visible or not, from that day. But what matters is that the outcome could have been different. There was a version of that moment where your story ended, where everything stopped. But that's not the version that played out. The danger was real, but so was the shield around you. And when you walked away, whether limping, trembling, or stunned, you carried something back with you: clarity. These moments, the ones too close for comfort, have a way of burning themselves into your memory. They shake you awake. They rearrange your priorities. They make you realize that everything in life can change in seconds. And while others may forget their close calls, chosen ones rarely do. Because your survival isn't just a random blessing, it's information. It's confirmation that your story has chapters left to be written. Psalm 21:11-12 says, "Though they plot evil against you, they cannot succeed." And no matter how you interpret those words, spiritually, metaphorically, symbolically, the message remains powerful. There is a limit to what darkness is allowed to do in your life. When you survived that third moment, something shifted inside you. It wasn't just relief, it was awakening. You may have noticed your perspective change. The petty things didn't matter as much. The arguments that once consumed you suddenly felt meaningless. You started paying attention to the little things: sunlight through a window, the sound of someone's laughter, the softness of quiet moments. You started valuing your time more, protecting your peace more, choosing your battles more carefully. That experience forced you to confront the truth. Life is fragile, but purpose is powerful. And your purpose wasn't finished. What's fascinating is that people with strong callings often experience near-death moments before major life transitions. Psychologists and spiritual teachers alike speak about post-traumatic growth, the phenomenon where individuals not only recover from traumatic experiences, but emerge with heightened wisdom, deeper empathy, stronger intuition, and renewed purpose. It's not just survival, it's transformation, and you've felt that. You didn't walk away from that close call as the same person. Something inside you woke up, something ancient, something intentional. You started seeing patterns more clearly, noticing warning signs earlier, sensing energies more accurately. Your mind sharpened, your spirit strengthened, your priorities aligned. Maybe you didn't have words for it at the time, but deep down, you knew something had changed. It's the kind of clarity that doesn't come from books or conversations. It comes from standing toe-to-toe with an ending that wasn't allowed to happen. After that, your entire lens on life shifts. You start realizing that you were preserved not just for comfort, but for purpose. You start feeling your calling more acutely. You begin to understand that your presence in the world carries weight that you didn't fully appreciate before. And that weight isn't just responsibility, it's influence, impact, assignment. From that moment on, the veil between the physical and spiritual, the ordinary and the extraordinary, began to thin. You started picking up on hidden messages, synchronicities, divine timing. People came into your life seemingly out of nowhere, offering wisdom or encouragement right when you needed it. Opportunities appeared at strange but perfect moments. Situations that once felt confusing began to click into place. Nothing felt random anymore. Your survival rewired your perception. It opened you to guidance you used to overlook and pushed you toward alignment you once avoided. And maybe you also noticed this. Certain people fell away, not because of drama, but because the new version of you couldn't fit into the old rooms. You outgrew conversations, environments, and patterns that once felt normal. That's a sign of activation. When you survive something life-altering, heaven doesn't return you to the same circles you came from. It elevates you into a new chapter. That's why after your escape, you felt more sensitive to negativity, more aware of hidden agendas, more protective of your peace. You were no longer a passive participant in your life. You became intentional, awake, discerning. Your survival wasn't just physical, it was spiritual acceleration. You were pushed into a stage of your journey where discernment became sharper, where intuition evolved into guidance, where your presence began to shift atmospheres. People might have said, "You seem different," and they were right. You weren't the same. You were recalibrated, refined, reborn into awareness. The danger that tried to take you out actually activated the very strength it feared. And now, chosen one, you carry something powerful, proof that your purpose outranks your trials, proof that when heaven says not yet, nothing can override it, proof that your survival is not just a blessing, but a calling. You were spared with intention. You were preserved with precision. And the story that almost ended became the very story that will change others. Chosen one, now that we've walked through the escapes that shaped your past, It's time to explore what those experiences awakened inside you. Survival didn't just keep you alive. It unlocked abilities, awareness, and spiritual intelligence that were dormant until life forced them awake. When death misses you not once, not twice, but multiple times, something fundamental shifts in your inner world. You begin to see through illusions that once blinded you. You start recognizing the deeper layers of people's intentions. You feel shifts in energy, changes in atmosphere, and hidden truths behind the words people speak. It's not paranoia, it's perception. It's the sharpened intuition you earned through fire. After each major escape, your sensitivity increased. But this sensitivity wasn't weakness, it was activation. What once felt like emotional overwhelm transformed into discernment, the ability to sense alignment or danger before anything physical unfolds. You may find that you can tell when someone is lying without any obvious signs, or sense someone's heaviness the moment they walk into a room. You may pick up on unspoken tension, notice patterns others dismiss, or feel guided toward decisions that seem irrational at first, but later prove incredibly wise. These experiences aren't random. They're spiritual inheritances awakened by your journey. You have been trained without realizing it, guided through both suffering and silence into a higher awareness of the world around you. Your timeline wasn't just protected, it was calibrated. Every escape strengthened a particular part of you, your intuition, your empathy, your inner resilience, your discernment. Each near miss added layers of wisdom and depth. The fires that should have burned you ended up refining you. The darkness that sought to consume you instead exposed your inner light. And now, whether you realize it or not, you carry something ancient in your spirit, something that sets you apart, something others feel even if they don't understand it. Some people are drawn to you instantly without knowing why. Others become uneasy around you, sensing that you see more than you say. You were never meant to fit in easily. You were meant to shift atmospheres. This kind of awakening doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, then suddenly. First, you start feeling things more strongly. Then you begin noticing repeating signs, numbers, dreams, synchronicities, messages that seem perfectly timed. You find yourself drawn toward certain paths, certain people, certain ideas without fully knowing why. That's alignment. That's recognition. Your spirit remembers things your mind is only beginning to understand. And while others may say it's coincidence, you know better. You've lived enough to recognize the difference between randomness and divine orchestration. You may have also noticed that the more awakened you become, the more you crave peace over noise, depth over distraction, truth over comfort. You're drawn to stillness in a world addicted to chaos. You find meaning in silence, power in solitude, clarity in reflection. This isn't isolation, it's recalibration. Every chosen one goes through a season where God, the universe, or divine timing removes you from environments that no longer match your vibration. It can feel lonely at first, but it's actually protection. Certain rooms can't handle your light. Certain relationships would drain your purpose. Certain habits would limit your growth. So heaven separates you, not to punish you, but to position you. And this leads to another truth. You're not late. You're right on divine schedule. Many people believe their lives are delayed because they can't see immediate results. But delay is often divine timing disguised. You weren't held back, you were being refined. Everything that felt slow or stagnant was necessary for what's coming. There are people who rushed ahead of you only to burn out, fall apart, or lose themselves. You were held back because your foundation needed to be stronger, your timing needed to be perfect. Your spirit needed to be ready for the weight of your assignment. Now, something inside you is shifting. You can feel the acceleration. It's subtle but undeniable. Opportunities you once chased are now beginning to approach you. Doors that were once locked tight are loosening. You may feel a stirring in your chest, a pressure behind your thoughts, a pull toward action even before you know what the first step is. That's alignment catching up to you. That's destiny making its way into the present moment. The lessons you learned in silence will soon become the wisdom you offer others. The resilience you built in darkness will become the light you carry into the world. And on this path, you're becoming more protective of your energy. You've realized that not everyone deserves access to your presence. Some people were gone from your life because their influence would have dimmed your light or stalled your growth. Others were removed because your elevation requires separation. Guarding your heart is no longer optional, it's essential. The heaviness you feel in certain places, the discomfort around certain people, the urge to withdraw from certain environments, that's not weakness. That's guidance. That's your spirit warning you. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." You're finally beginning to understand what that means. Your survival didn't just keep you alive. It made you aware, intentional, and spiritually equipped. You don't chase noise anymore. You seek purpose. You don't beg for attention. You carry presence. You don't cling to old identities. You step forward into alignment. And this awakening, this clarity, this evolution, it's only the beginning. Chosen one, now we arrive at the part of your story where everything begins to take shape. The awakening of your identity, the emergence of your calling, the realization that you were never meant to move through this world unnoticed. When someone has been refined by fire, preserved through chaos, restored through silence, and awakened by survival, they carry a presence that shifts rooms, not because of ego, not because of appearance, but because their very existence carries truth, weight, and spiritual resonance. You've likely noticed this. People react to you before you even speak. Some find comfort in you. Some feel intimidated. Some feel exposed. That's because you carry alignment. Your journey erased superficiality and replaced it with depth, clarity, and discernment. And those qualities are felt on a spiritual level long before they're seen on a physical one. There's something ancient in your spirit, something encoded long before you were aware of your own purpose. You've walked through storms that others didn't survive. You've carried burdens that would have collapsed weaker foundations. You've rebuilt yourself more than once, often in silence. And because of that, your presence has become a mirror, revealing truth, triggering healing, and sometimes exposing what others want to hide. You may have noticed that certain people open up to you easily, sharing things they've never said out loud. That's because your energy feels safe. You've been through enough darkness to hold space for others without judgment. On the other hand, people with hidden intentions or unresolved shadows often feel uncomfortable around you, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your awareness disrupts their illusion. Light makes darkness nervous, and your light has only grown stronger with each trial. The more awakened you become, the more you understand that you aren't meant to pour your energy into everyone. You're learning to be intentional with your presence. You've grown more selective because you now recognize that some connections drain you, some distract you, and some dilute your purpose. You feel it instantly. Your body tightens, your spirit grows uneasy, your mind becomes restless. These sensations are more than emotions. They're warnings. They're signals telling you when a space isn't aligned, when a conversation is off, or when a relationship is pulling you away from your calling. For most of your life, you may have ignored these signals, chalking them up to overthinking, but now you realize they're part of your spiritual intelligence. They protect you, they guide you, they anchor you when your mind gets overwhelmed and your heart feels uncertain. And with this awareness comes responsibility. Guarding your energy is no longer optional, it's survival. You now understand that your peace is precious, your clarity is sacred, your intuition is a tool, and your presence, your healed, awakened presence is powerful. That's why you no longer crave validation. That's why you no longer beg to be understood. You've learned that people who cannot see your value don't have the capacity to walk with you. You don't argue with small minds. You don't shrink to fit old identities. You don't dim your light to keep others comfortable. Because after everything you've survived, after everything you've learned, after everything you've awakened to, you finally understand who you are becoming. Stillness has taken on a new meaning for you. Silence isn't emptiness, it's alignment. It's where you hear the deepest truths. It's where you reconnect with purpose. It's where you receive direction that logic can't explain. You may find yourself drawn to journaling, prayer, meditation, fasting, or simple moments of reflection. These practices aren't trends. They're tools that help you move in rhythm with divine timing. They keep you grounded in truth. They sharpen your discernment. They create space for breakthroughs that distractions would have buried. You've realized that every major turning point in your life came after a moment of stillness. Not noise, not chaos, stillness. And so now you honor that silence like sacred ground. Your pain, too, has taken on a new meaning. You no longer see it as a curse. You see it as curriculum. Every wound taught you something essential: compassion, patience, boundaries, wisdom, trust, courage. What once broke you, built you. What once silenced you, strengthened your voice. What once confused you, clarified your path. You've paid for your wisdom with experience, and now that wisdom is becoming part of your identity. You no longer react impulsively. You respond with intention. You no longer cling to what's familiar. You move toward what's aligned. You no longer fear endings. You trust new beginnings. And because you've matured spiritually, your presence now carries healing. Not because you set out to fix people, but because your very existence is proof that transformation is possible. People see your resilience and feel hope. They hear your story and gain courage. They observe your strength and believe in their own. You've become living evidence of divine intervention, a reminder that survival is not the end, but the beginning of purpose. You've become a vessel, not of perfection, but of authenticity. And authenticity is rare. Authenticity is magnetic. Authenticity is healing. And if you've ever doubted whether your experiences mattered, whether your survival meant anything, whether your struggles had purpose, look at who you are now. Look at how you move. Look at what you've overcome. You are not the same person who entered those battles. You are wiser. You are deeper. You are clearer. And the world needs exactly that version of you. Chosen one, now we come to the final chapter of this message. Not the end of your journey, but the moment where everything you've lived, everything you've survived, everything you've awakened to finally connects. This is where purpose meets emotion, where reflection becomes realization, where your story stops being something that just happened to you and becomes something you consciously step into. Every powerful story needs a release, a moment where the heart catches up to what the mind already knows. And your story, your survival, your awakening, your transformation deserves that release. Because emotion isn't weakness. Emotion is truth rising to the surface. Emotion is clarity speaking through your spirit. Emotion is proof that you've lived deeply and come out the other side with understanding instead of bitterness. You may not always feel it, but you are carrying a message. One written through scars, sharpened through silence, strengthened through storms. You've become someone who feels deeply, someone who senses what others miss, someone who pays attention to both the seen and unseen. And that depth, that intuition, that wisdom is exactly why your story holds power. This world is full of people who are hurting quietly, who are lost behind their own smiles, who are walking through battles no one knows about. Many of them don't need perfect heroes. They need relatable bridges. They need stories like yours. They need people who have walked through fire and can say, "I understand." You don't have to preach. You don't have to perform. Just by being who you've become, you are already offering healing, clarity, comfort, and truth. The emotions you feel, the heaviness, the gratitude, the ache, the relief, are all valid. They're signs that your spirit is integrating everything it's learned. You no longer run from your past. You no longer hide from your wounds. You no longer apologize for your sensitivity or your strength. Instead, you let your experiences fuel your purpose. You let them shape how you love, how you speak, how you show up for others. And that is what makes your story powerful. It isn't just about what you survived, but about how your survival changed you, how it taught you compassion instead of resentment, how it taught you patience instead of panic, how it taught you discernment instead of fear. The world needs people who have lived through darkness and still choose light. And that's exactly who you are becoming. From this point forward, you move differently, not with fear, but with intention. You speak differently, not with doubt, but with clarity. You love differently, not from emptiness, but from overflow. And you see differently, not with confusion, but with spiritual insight. You've walked through illusions and now stand in truth. You've faced the edge of your own breaking and learned that you are not as fragile as you once believed. You've come through a wilderness most never talk about. And because of that, your life carries resonance, presence, and depth that cannot be faked. You're not just here to exist. You're here to awaken others simply by embodying what you've learned. And so, chosen one, this is where your story becomes a message. This is where your voice matters. This is where vulnerability becomes a bridge. Because someone out there needs to hear what you've lived. Someone needs to know that survival is possible. Someone needs to see that transformation is real. Someone needs the reminder that they are not alone in their battles. And your journey, your resilience, your presence might be the very thing that sparks their hope. That's what makes purpose so powerful. It's not about perfection. It's about connection. It's about showing others what's possible when you keep going. Now take a breath. Deep, grounding, intentional. Let it remind you that you are still here by design. Let it remind you that your story isn't over. Let it remind you that the best chapters haven't even begun yet. You have every right to step boldly into what's next. You have every right to protect your energy, your peace, your vision. You have every right to release what no longer aligns with your path, because this is your moment. This is your alignment. This is your becoming. And if this message touched your spirit even a little, if it made you reflect, if it stirred something inside you, if it reminded you of who you truly are, then I want you to take a final step. This is your moment of interaction, your moment of agreement, your moment of stepping forward with intention. Release whatever emotion this brought up. Let it flow. Let it cleanse. Let it clarify. And then, when you're ready, use your voice to seal it. Type "I'm ready" in the comments, not just as a habit or a formality, but as a declaration that you're stepping into your purpose with awareness, with courage, with conviction. Hit the like button if this resonated, not for the algorithm, but as an energetic acknowledgement of your own awakening. Subscribe to the channel so we can walk this journey together, because you're not meant to rise alone. And share your thoughts below. Your words will encourage someone else the same way this message encouraged you. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of your alignment, your awakening, your purpose unfolding in real time. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are rising exactly when you're meant to. Until next time, chosen one. Stay grounded, stay protected, and stay ready.